Just a little job to do this morning for Mrs. P. Some of you will already know that I put a gate in a while ago for her morning walks, and what's left at the moment is a rather muddy track for her. So just in case for you health and safety police, being as I'm a fully paid up member of the Facebook and YouTube health and safety Facebook police, yes, I'm standing underneath the suspended arms of my skid steer, but just so you know, I got the locks out, okay, because I know if I didn't, I know you'd be going, oh, you mustn't do that, that's dangerous. Yeah, it is. But anyway, so I bought the machine in here because it's low on fuel and I'm going to grease it up. So I'm going to whack you on the head cam and we're going to put some grease in the machine and fuel, and then we're going to go and play with some wood chip in the dumper. Yeah, Donald's coming out to play again today. Right then, onwards and upwards. First job is make sure I can get to the grease nipples. Nobody likes messing around with dirty nipples, do we, chaps? Get off. Right then, hopefully the guys have left me some grease in here. Put it on the slide. Oh, hang on. He's squeezing it. I had these all repinned and bushed only a year ago, but I don't think it was a terribly good job, because that is squeezing out through there. They seem to be wearing again already, which is a bit of a pain because that was a few £100 to do that. There we go. So I know it's a bit boring greasing the machine up, but it's got to be done if you want it to last. Go on, get on there. Two more, and then the pedals. Right, I don't know if you're going to see in here, but on the Mustang there's a grease nipple both sides on this, and there's also one, I don't know if you can see him, down in the pedals. We lost that nipple a while ago, I've replaced it twice now, and both times it's come out, so but the pedal ain't gone stiff. I've been spraying white grease down there That's that. Poor old mower getting all dirty. I didn't put the cover on at the end of last summer, and with the gravel floor it does tend to get a bit grubby in here. So right, fuel. So we keep our fuel well and truly locked up. Stop the undesirables borrowing it, because they will. Not a big tank on the Mustang, lasts me about a week usually with normal work, but I like to keep them filled up. I don't use the gauge. I can hear when he's full, when he goes quiet. That'll do. Well, he's not wanting that. Right. While we're here, I'll check my dipstick. This is what overalls are for. At least that's what I told Mrs. P. Plenty. Wasn't that long ago since you serviced. Go on, get in there. Right, okay. That's that. Right then. Always forget to unlock these before I come away, so today we're going to make sure I don't. Try doing that in your JCB. Visually make sure he's latched. Good. reckon a couple of these will do it. I will get to use that trailer, honest. That is fresh. Right, I might do this with one. As you can all probably imagine, after me digging this out with our little doosan a couple of months ago, a bit of wet we've had, this path, this area has got a bit mucky, particularly as one of our lambs escaped here through a fence. Believe it or not, it escaped through one of my fences, and spent half a day running up and down here panicking because he couldn't get back to his mates. Well, he did go back to his mates in the end. So the intention was always to wood chip this area, because if the cattle are out in this field here, up to now they've had pretty much nowhere in the shade to lie to get out of the sun. So although this isn't a large area and there's probably only room for 10 or 15 in here, it does mean that 10 or 15 cattle out here can get in here and lie in the shade, and we all know that they like lying in wood chip. So at the same time, it keeps my dog's feet clean when they're running through here, keeps Mrs. P's boots clean, keeps her happy. And as it's Valentine's Day, I will do my best to keep Mrs. P happy today. Not that I don't do that every day, but I do obviously. Mrs. P knows how lucky she is. I'm going to pay for that. So, paths, yeah. We sell a lot of this. In fact, National Trust has quite a lot of this to do the paths around their stately homes. I give them a bit posher stuff in this. This is just off the edge of the pile. There's a bit of green in it. It's not my best, but it's plenty good enough for me, Mrs. P, and for my cattle to lay on. So, if I take you down, we've literally changed an area of wet clay mud to a nice path. Once this is packed down, it does actually make a really nice path. So we have lots of allotment owners. You have this on their allotments, private gardens, public gardens, loads of things. So if you're a farmer and you've got a load of tree surgeons around, I did post this on a comment on the last video. It's actually probably worth your while offering decent company, not some bloody fly-by-night live in a caravan bloke. No offence to living caravan blokes, but you have a reputation. Offer somebody a corner of a yard or a field or something. Get a qualified tree bloke in, give him somewhere to put his wood chip. Make use of his wood chip. You'll always have somebody useful on hand if you need a bit of help, especially if you're not charging him. I'll just take you out the sun. Charging him too much rent for it. You'll have a supply of cheap bedding for your chickens or goats or sheep or whatever else. Maybe not so much goats because they'll eat anything. Yeah, this stuff's got multiple uses. So there's lots of young start-up tree surgery companies out there. Do pick one that's got some qualifications, who knows what he's talking about. And if you can get a box ticker, someone who's got the health and safety, the risk assessments, method statements and all that, all the better. Lots of big companies look for depots, so you can contact the power companies, linesmen, sort of utility companies, and just sort of say, I've got a space here. You can store wood chip. You can get an exemption certificate from, this is in the UK, exemption certificate from the Environment Agency that will allow you to store like 1,000 cubic meters of stuff on your farm with no license. You haven't got to pay vast amounts of money for the privilege of keeping it. There is an exemption for it for now. I can't actually remember which one it is. Our site used to be fully licensed, but at £2,000 a year for the license, there was no point when I can get exemption for nothing. Anyway, so yeah, farmers got a bit of space, need a bit of sort of help out occasionally. Get a tree company to come in and help you out. Have a conversation with them. You can help each other. He's looking for somewhere. He probably lives now somewhere got no yard. You've got a yard. Well, hopefully you've got a yard, and you can benefit each other. Anyway, back to shoveling. I must really like shoveling. I'm doing a lot of it. Too much talking as well. The other benefit for something like this in here, in our shady area, this is all obviously all this area is surrounded by tree roots under the ground, and anybody who knows anything about compaction will know that cattle will pat the ground hard. If they pat the ground hard and compress the soil around the tree roots, tree can't respire properly because trees need oxygen around the roots to respire. Putting a layer of wood chip down will form a cushion, so it will reduce your ground compaction. So all your trees, so even if you've got, you know, your favourite chestnut tree out in the middle of the field, beautiful lovely tree, and in the summer it's the place where all your cattle will go and lie underneath it because it's shady, and because of transpiration of the leaves, got a nice little cool microclimate, they're compacting the ground and killing your tree. So if you've got a tree out in the middle of your ground, you know, it could be a focal point for the farm for all I know, and your cattle are using it for shelter, put a good layer this day, 6 inches of this under your tree. One, it will reduce compaction. Two, it will encourage your worm and biolife activity, which will improve the soil. And I dare say, even if you've got a tree that looks a bit poorly, 3 years time you'll notice a difference. It'll start coming back to life again. This does fantastic stuff. So as this breaks down, it will help with the mycorrhizae, which is a fungus in the soil, which can have a symbiotic effect with your tree roots. It helps absorption of moisture and nutrients. So another use for wood chip. Stick it under your trees. Go to Kew Gardens, have a look at their trees. And what are you going to find underneath all their trees? This stuff. They've got an issue with honey fungus. And believe it or not, it might sound counterintuitive, but if you've got a garden full of honey fungus, if you can get a decent layer of chip down around your trees and increase that mycorrhizae fungal activity in your soil, it actually acts as a defensive barrier against honey fungus. So I should be selling this stuff, shouldn't I? Right, nearly there, nearly all gone. I reckon one load will do it, especially the ground's still fairly soft, and I don't want to make too many traps down the field. Right, okay, so done. That's what we have. I will come back there with this dryer and fill this bit up as well, but now I've got a surface that I could walk about on. Well, I'm not going to lie on it, but the cattle would. Cattle, horses like this stuff. We've got quite a few horsey folks that put this around in places, and in fact there's one person, Hawkesbury way, she has 4 loads a year for her winter storage for the horses, and that keeps them clean. She doesn't got to put rugs on them, anything, because I come out, they'll roll in this, they kick it about. Any muck that stays there more than a day tends to disappear. It's easy to pick up off. Did I say I should be selling this stuff? So, show your wife, your lover, sorry, buy her some wood chips. Yeah, thank you. So with the tree surgeon who's desperately trying to make a shilling to sell it, so biomass companies, by the way, might not be so pleased, because they want all this for next to nothing, stick in a power station, to chuck up a chimney and earn money out of. So, right, I'm not going to worry about that last little bit there. She can hop over that bit. So there you go. Mrs. P's gate now has a wood chip path to keep her and the dogs clean on a wet mucky day, and my cattle happy in the summer, and the tree roots happy, and the worms and the biota in the soil and the mycorrhizae, everything will be happy. Right, I'm going to go find something else to do now. Come on, Donald. While I'm here, I mentioned this bit. I don't know if you can see with the sun. This hedge line here is an old hedge line with a lot of elms in it, and most of our elms. I wonder where that lamb got out. In fact, I'll jump over there. All this fence has got to be redone. So yeah, as I was saying, a lot of our old elms are all dead. Some are still going, but we've come to the decision that we're taking all the old elms out, including the living ones for now, and we're going to lay the rest of this hedge and replant some new quicks. Basically, we're going to refresh the hedge. So when the guys are finishing early, we're coming down and doing a bit at a time. I've got another few weeks yet to get the hedge laid, if I can find time within the rest of the schedule. But if I don't do it this year, I can do it next. But a lot of this now is, you know, reasonable stuff. I've got to clean all the crap out the bottom of the hedge. I have to have a bonfire. So we're leaving hawthorn, spindle, blackthorn and field maple. That's predominantly what's left in here. There's an elder there, but I'm not sure if he's alive. So we're only taking the elm out, and all these elms we're going to leave. We'll tidy the stumps up. We're going to leave sort of 12-inch stumps, and they should all shoot again. So, because elms will shoot from coppice quite happily. So we're not destroying the elms. We're literally just taking the bigger trees out. All these are susceptible now to Dutch elm disease, particularly as they've got neighbours that are, well, they're already dead from it anyway. So we'll harvest the timber from this. This will all go into the firewood, go for the processor, or they'll cut it up here. And although brush will be chipped, go on the wood chip heap, and it will be sold, or it'll end up at Mrs. P's gate or similar, bedding out cattle. So we might be doing a bit of hedge laying in a week or so. I was taught what's called the Barclay style. Most of you will do what's called stake and heather, which is basically posts hammered in, hedge laid at a 45-degree angle, and then it's usually hazel wand or something that's twisted along the top. Looks really nice, but it's not traditional in this area. I'll take this off and I'll tell you why. This is the Barclay Vale, or Severn Valley Barclay Vale, and has always been, obviously not so much now because it's banned, big hunting territory. I've never had the hunt across here, and that's not because I don't agree with them. It's because the ground's too wet and horses galloping up through my field will just chew it up and make a mess. I've got a couple of neighbours who don't want the hunt anywhere near them, and that's their choice, and that's fine by me. But anyway, because this was predominantly hunting territory, hunting horses jump hedges, and the last thing you want is a horse jumping a stake and heather hedge. You've got all those posts that are stuck up in the ground, because what you're going to do, you're going to spear your horse. So the Barclay style uses no stake and heather. Basically the hedge is laid, it's much more horizontal, so we always try to lay uphill against the flow of water, but the idea is if a horse jumps over a Barclay style laid hedge, it's not going to get killed. We don't have the hunt here, so get the sun in your eyes. It's not so bad, and I tend to leave occasional small sticks. For example, this chap, I might leave him up if it was in the hedge, and I would literally wrap and weave around him. So all the hedges here are Barclay style, and that was the way I was taught. So we might get to that, might make a video on it. We'll see what the weather does and how motivated I am. Anyway, back at the house. I want, what's the time? Oh, 10:15. That's 15 minutes to coffee time. Right, onwards and upwards again then. So I was going home, and then I thought, you know what, I haven't put any grub in the creep feeder for the lambs, so I could go all the way back up there, put Donald's away and walk all the way down here and do this, or I could be a lazy bugger and cheat. I can go on there for a minute. That's my gravity water tank. So the water in these tanks, I've said it before, comes off the roof of the barn, is collected in big 1,000 litre galvanised tanks, and it's gravity fed down to here. And because it's gravity fed and there's no real water pressure, I'm not really worried about pipes blowing. Right. Hello boys and girls, this is the last of our lambs. We're going to put a couple in the deep freeze for ourselves, so I don't see the point in selling it and then buying it back off the butcher. But most of these are going to market next Thursday, so we're hoping they're going to be around about the 40 kilo mark. So current prices 77, maybe 80 quid if someone's feeling generous a piece. Not fantastic money, not when you think the grub costs 9 quid a bag. This is coarse mix, so we're not giving them too much. This is just literally just to top them up a bit. Enough for later as well. Come on up. We had them up a few days ago to check their feet and rub our hands over them just to see what the grading was like, so they're a bit shy today. They'll soon come when they suss out that's in there. I think I'll move you. I don't want to wear the ground out too much. Come on up. Come up! No, sod you, we're staying here. This pipe here is mains water, obviously switched off, but it should be turned off up the top as well, so he's isolated at the top. But last year, like in the drought, we had no gravitational water. So it was a case of I could put a tank here at any time and give him some water in this paddock or that one, hence the long pipe. And the tank you saw over there earlier, that's got gravitational water and mains water. So we've got the borecock set up, so if the rainwater runs out and the borecock drops down too far, the mains water, which is set lower, will actually kick in. So that tank there should never run out of water, ever. Unless of course the water board shut me off. That's my bailout bucket. A couple of times a year I'll get in there and bail that tank out and the one further up gets a bit mucky. Thing is, we're not having mains water all the time. There's no chlorine in it, so just occasionally I get it, get in there and clean it out.